Hello and welcome to the family business. I'm Joe Castiglio Jr., Isaac Stoops, Jordan Evans in studio today, 4-year player at the University of Oklahoma, Cincinnati Bengal, and Seattle Sea Dragon. Former Seattle Sea Dragons, RMP, RIP. Jordan, thanks for coming in today.
Man, appreciate y'all having me.
Well, thanks for coming in. It's great to have you in studio today,
Yes,
a Norman boy. We're going to start right there, though. A kid who has grown up around Norman, Oklahoma, a father who played at OU. Did you always know that you're going to go to OU, or talk a little bit about that? We're going to watch some highlights in a minute, but did you grow up an OU fan? Or
No, I didn't. Actually, I was a fan of OU in a sense that my dad played here and I'm from here. But anybody that knows me, you ask my family, I was the biggest Virginia Tech fan. I was a big Mike Vick.
I actually knew that.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that.
Mike Vick was like my inspiration as a kid, and I was the biggest Mike Vick fan. So I have pictures to this day of me wearing Virginia Tech gear. I wore a Virginia Tech pullover to an OU game. I was a Virginia Tech guy.
You were that guy.
Yeah, I was. And I mean, I still supported OU, but even even when we get to it about my offers and stuff, I was begging for a Virginia Tech offer.
I remember that growing up a little bit.
Yeah.
Seeing you a Virginia Tech fan, just so random.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was just literally Mike Vick effect. I was the biggest Mike Vick fan, and I still loved OU football. I remember all the greats that played here growing up, and going to events with my dad and seeing his former players, all the way back to Mike Gaddis. Like, that was like my favorite player watching on VHS tape. So I still was a fan of it, but I really wanted to go to Virginia Tech originally. It flipped.
Yeah, I know we're about to see some Norman North highlights here. Shout out the T-Wolves. That's the one mascot you left off, Joe. But
yeah.
Former Timberwolf. My bad.
So I guess how was it when you did get the OU offers? Or I guess talk about some other schools that were recruiting you and where you were leaning to other than OU. You know, because I know you were kind of a late bloomer and you played a lot of positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was the recruiting process was like, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I mean, I was very low maintenance. Like all you had to do was just offer me and just don't talk to me. I was cool, right? Like you could leave me alone. But if OU never offered me, I was 100,000% going to New Mexico. I was going to be a Lobos. Coach Warheim recruited me. He has roots out of Del City. I liked him a lot. Like you said, I played a whole bunch of positions, and I was going to go there to play like safety, nickel, receiver, and that's going to let me return kicks. So I was definitely going to there they are. I was definitely going to New Mexico until OU offered me late. And then when OU offered me, I think like within 3 days, I immediately committed.
Well, it's funny because these highlights here, I mean, I think one of them you got your hand down. The other ones you stand-up linebacker. You said you played corner sophomore year. And I know you always talked about how you begged them for like a year to just let you get the ball in your hands.
Yeah.
We'll see the kickoff return here in a second.
Kind of like the development and growth. I got to flag that play. But the development and growth for me was just, freshman year. Dang, he slapped the mess out of me. Oh, yeah, this week you tell I'm tired, bro. I couldn't breathe. I had braces and a big mouthpiece. I was struggling. But I just played a whole bunch of positions. And, I think looking back at it, it made you a true football player. And you understand every level. And it transitioned well playing a linebacker. But, I was a corner sophomore year. Junior year, I played kind of a nickel position. And all year, I begged Coach Stanley, like, bro, I need the ball in my hand. Smack. But I begged Coach Stanley for the ball in my hand. In the last regular season game, they put me in at tight end on a wheel route, which I don't know why I'm handing the dirt tight end wheel route. But caught it, threw another ball to me in the end zone, scored, and, rest was history, and kind of let me do whatever I wanted senior year. And it worked out for me.
I remember my Coach Barnes when he became the head coach at North. He was like, he told me, we're gonna separate you and Drake. You're gonna play corner and Drake's gonna play receiver. And I was devastated. I was like, man, I'm a receiver. Right. I was like, why you don't want two of us out there?
Yeah, I definitely disagreed with their philosophy of one side of the ball. Oh yeah, that's the second round playoff game. I didn't want to catch an error because that was my first punt return ever. So I was
like, drop it?
Yeah, that was my first punt return ever, and I was just like, let me just let it bounce one time.
You're lucky that it bounced where it did.
Hey, if it bounced anywhere, I was going to scoop it and go. We were struggling. Like, we needed some points.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys, I guess talk about that playoff run. You guys end up winning this game, and what did you play after that? You went to championship
so
from
we
here?
played Southmore, Broken Arrow, then we played at Owasso, which was, like, that game I need that game on, like, TV. That game was a crazy game, and then we got we got the brakes beat off of us first jinx. So
shout out Stephen Parker.
Yeah, Stephen Parker, and I still won't forget. Like Stephen Parker went off that game. I have a little bit of bragging rights in my opinion for that game because as much as they beat us, they went and kicked the ball to me. The first kickoff of the game, they kicked it straight out of bounds. So I was like,
took the flag.
Yeah, they took the flag. So I'm like, y'all must have been scared of me. But I still won't forget that game for one play. Really, is because I lined up at Wildcat QB, and I think they sent like an all-out blitz, and I just remember being held up and Q Overton. Oh my goodness, bro! He had a free shot on me and killed me, bro. I was like, bro, I don't want the ball no more. But it was a great run, and back to your point, I wasn't a fan of philosophy of playing one side of the ball. I believe best players should play both, but for developmental purposes, I see why coaches do that. And luckily, shout out Coach Stanley and Coach Barnes for giving me opportunity because it definitely boosted up my recruiting and gave me a chance to go to OU.
Should have gone to a small school. They would have had you play every snap of every
I went
game.
to a high school game at Washington one time, and I remember looking at my dad like, bro, do you know what I would do here? I have crazy stats.
Crazy. You see
no disrespect to Washington football, but I mean,
they're really good now.
No, they're balling.
They've always been really
good.
Little
Roberts
actually.
went to Ohio State. Wish he would have came to OU, but I'm happy for him. I know his other brothers here, so
case is not closed yet. We'll see.
Yeah, we get him. I'm about to holler at him maybe.
Let's give him a little love.
Yeah.
But I was actually at that Broken Arrow game. I remember I went with one of my friends, your neighbor, Joe Cradell. We went to watch you, and I called my dad after, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, OU needs to recruit this Jordan Evans," and he was like, and I'm like, "No, I just watched him. I'm like, he's OU caliber," and then. Sure enough. What was it, a couple of weeks later? Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Hey,
unsung heroes, man.
Behind the scenes, man.
Yeah. Exactly. He probably heard that a little bit, maybe passed it on. Who knows? But
Coach Gundy, KC Gundy used to do some stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
It was giving I think he was sending my stats like every game. Like,
I forgot he was for like 6 years. He was a student coach here with the quarterbacks.
There was like I said, a lot of unsung heroes, man. My whole journey was a lot and it was a lot of fun.
Don't get me wrong, you did the work, but there's a little. Everybody else was showing love too. We wanted to see it. Do you remember getting the offer, getting the call?
Oh no, I do. I remember literally I remember everything, man. So I was done. I was done with the recruiting process because I was so fed up. Because I think right prior to OU offering me, TCU, K-State, and Iowa State were recruiting me. And some blog came out in the TCU that said Jordan Evans is only waiting for an Oklahoma offer, and I'm like. I was waiting for Virginia Tech offer, if anything. But, I mean, I was wanting an OU offer, but it wasn't like I was open to going to any school. I mean, I was going to New Mexico. No one knew, but I was going to commit to New Mexico. So they stopped recruiting me. I mean, literally like, hey, we're about to offer you next week, and then I never got a call. And so I was really fed up. I was done. We just had a crazy game versus Owasso. We're about to go state championship. We went and watched film, and Coach Stanley asked me, hey, are you going to go to it was Oklahoma State game. When Brendan Clay won in overtime, it was that game. And he was like, are you going to go to the game? And I literally said, no, I'm not going. He was like, you should go. And I'm like, for what? Like, I went to every game. I didn't get recruited. They didn't offer me. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm going to go watch at the crib. He's like, well, I think you should go to this game. So I was like, all right, whatever. And Jake Higginbotham and Erwin Frazier were two of my close friends in high school. I didn't even bring my family. I literally took them. I was like, y'all want to go to the game? Last second went where I'm on the field during the warm-ups. I'm talking to Coach Kish and Dominic Alexander. And next note, Bob Stoops comes up to me, shakes my hand. He said, hey, man, stick around. We're going to offer you a 4-hour scholarship. And just walked off. And I was just like, huh? And I looked at Dom, and I guess Dom and Coach Kish knew. And they were just like, hey, he offered you, huh? And I'm like, bro, is this real? Like, so I'm sitting the whole game. I'm not saying nothing. I'm like, bro, they just offered me. And then, I stuck around afterwards. Coach Stoops offered me again. And I told him, I said, well, I'm going to talk to my family. And I go home, and my grandparents are at the house and everything. I'm like, I ain't say nothing to nobody.
Someone kept you in the dark.
Yeah. So I ended up telling them, and they were happy. And literally 2 days later, those next probably like 48 to 72 hours, I'm talking to Coach Stanley like, OU offered me. OU's a Power 5, which is my first Power 5 offer. Somebody take to Virginia Tech now. They might actually offer me. Literally, Coach Stanley told me, he said, son, I've sent it to them. They're not recruiting you, and you're not a big-time recruit. You can pull their offer. He said, you better stop playing around. And I was like, you know what, you're right. OU's the dream school anyway, so I I can get it.
I don't know if that Inner Sandman song they play at the beginning of their games, bro. I don't know if we can. I mean, we can compete with it, but I guess kind of transitioning to talking about OU, kind of just talk about your time here. Talk about what it was like once you did get on campus. Was it? I mean, you only went down the street just like me and Drake did, but was it? I mean, college can be a hard transition for anybody.
No, it was definitely a whole new. Yeah, you know how it is. Norman and then college Norman is literally two different cities, and you're on your own. But nah, when I reflect on my OU experience, man, it was a lot of fun. I know I made the right decision. It was a dream come true. Hometown kid. I got a lot of love. I was able to still stick around and be around a lot of y'all. Like, you remember, I come to North all the time and work out with y'all, and that meant probably more to me than actually going off and playing for somewhere else. Is that I would still be able to be involved. And my career was up and down. I mean, I came in with a D- grade, recruiting. I was seeing things that I was never going to play. I was just going to be a special teams and a scout team guy. So. And then I'm hearing, he's going to be redshirted. Well, no, I played my freshman year, And then I started for 3 years and got some stuff behind my name, was able to have, I think, a pretty successful college career.
All Big 12 team in 2016, second team in 2015. So it shows a little bit.
It was cool. So I'm definitely happy when I look back at it.
Jordan, a lot of people don't know, but I was actually a student coach for a while. So Jordan and I go back a little bit because I was a student coach for Tim Kish in the linebackers room, and there was some times in there. We were talking about a little bit before off air, but it was really a stacked room from top to bottom. We had Dom Alexander, of course, Curtis Bolton. These are all a little bit different times. EB, Emmanuel Beal, Tay Evans. And then, of course, the outside linebacker room. It's not the same room, but still stacked from top to bottom.
We had some guys in there. We had some good players. You remember when you was coaching, I used to be back there asleep half the time.
Kish saw me fall asleep a couple times too.
Hey, bro, I had a superpower though. I don't know how I did this. You can fact check.
Never got caught.
I would be asleep, never get caught. I get asked a question, open my eyes, answer correctly, and go right back to sleep. I don't know what it was, but I just knew the answers. But we had a good room, man. We had some guys that were nice. Buzzy's still playing. Dom had a stint in the league. EB had a stint. Tay Evans was honestly a freak. He just unfortunately got retired because of concussions, but it was competitive, and that's what makes players better, is when you're around competition that anybody can get your spot taken. And senior year, due to injuries, and some guys kind of got away from that, and that's kind of why I struggled a little bit early on my senior year and had to make a change. But overall, we had some guys that were some good players, and I'm still cool with a lot of them.
Yeah, I feel like that competition, that shows a lot, like now with a lot of these guys coming back and young guys still coming here because they kind of believe in the direction that it's going. I mean, I saw you at the spring game Saturday. What did you think? I mean, obviously there's a lot of competition at a lot of different spots, especially on defense.
Right. Yeah, that makes the team better. People love saying iron sharpens iron, but they forget for athletes, our iron is competition. You have to be able to accept defeat in your competition. You have to be able to not get too high in your success in competition. And you also have to take the competition as in coaching from whether it's your coaches and or your colleagues, your players. Players should coach players as well. And, we had that at OU, especially in my younger days when I'm in the room with Corey Nelson and Frank Shannon and guys like that, and seeing them compete and all that stuff, and seeing them competing against me, because it transitions to the league. And so when I'm watching it now, it's one thing I'm noticing more than I have in the past is the amount of depth that, OU has. I mean, when the starters come out, there's not a drop off. And, even last year you saw it with the back and forth between Kip,
Danny, Kobe,
Kannick.
All of them. Kannick, literally all of them. Like, if someone plays poor, someone else is going in there, and they might play at such a high level that you might not get your spot back. And that's the beauty of the game, and that's how you develop championship caliber teams.
Kip Lewis is maybe one of the finest examples of that.
Bro, I'm a fan of Kip, man.
He's got a nose for the ball.
You can fact check. I tweeted about him last year. I was like, bro, whoever number 10 is, he need to be in there. I like him.
Pull the receipts up.
Yeah.
I think a lot of things that Sooner fans grew fond of. People kind of forget 2015 was actually a really good defensive year as a
Number
whole.
one in the Big 12.
Exactly. really good defensive squad. And
I didn't even know that, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, really good.
Yeah.
I remember 2016, kind of some struggles, but you always owned up to those. And so anytime the media asked or team asked, you always owned up that, and it just kind of admired as that like a leader.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, that was one of the things that I think my dad instilled in me at a young age is, even though I'm a boy at the time, he's raised me to be a grown man. And as a man, you sit there and you take the responsibilities that you have to take. And one of the responsibilities is when you're wrong, you have to own up to them. And I never believed in pointing fingers. I was the leader. I was the captain. So, therefore, the defense is playing bad. And it's my fault. And I was playing bad. And there was a whole scene. There was a big media thing about it, about my dad. Oh, I'm about to pop my hamstring, bro. Right there. That's crazy. But I still score. Shout out to EB blocking it. Let me get a little flex on. Yes, sir. But, yeah, I just believed in that. I had to take responsibility because ultimately it was my fault. And, yeah. Hey, I remember that. I called it. I did a little. Hey, that's what Baker did versus Kansas, right?
Yeah.
His was a little more aggressive,
yeah,
right?
I played it off a little bit, but
man.
Hey, yeah, it was a growing experience, man. I take full responsibility. I'm the same man today where I believe in taking responsibility, and I think the second half of my season shows what happens when you do that. You play better. I'm gonna need these clips sent to me, man.
We'll get them to you.
I recently retired, so I think I want to reflect on some of these and let them know.
You got any you got any favorite games or favorite memories? Obviously, this is probably one of them, but anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think of 2014 at TCU. We lost. We're number 4 team. Obviously, it's never good, but that was a game where I started to make some plays and I was kind of feeling good about myself. Junior year, the Baylor, TCU, Oklahoma State, that entire series was great because that's what won the Big 12.
November to remember.
Games. Yeah, November to remember. Yeah, exactly. Also, the Tennessee game at Tennessee 2015. Oh my goodness, that's one of the greatest games, man. That game was legit, loud, couldn't hear nothing, and then Zach Sanchez gets the pick and it's quiet. This my least favorite game. Texas Tech. Oh my goodness,
scrub it from the memory.
That gives me the worst memories of my life, bro. That was the worst game I ever played in my life. I mean, shoot, that was after that game. You saw I had braids. After that game, I cut my hair, took my earrings out. My dad dang near beat me up. That was my worst game, bro.
You were going through it.
That game right there is one of my most pinnacle moments of college, though, because it changed me, and I had to have a reality check. And
I mean, luckily you played with Baker and Joe and Dede.
Yeah.
I mean, they all showed up that game.
No, definitely. Joe Mixon's game right there was ridiculous,
like,
and Baker and Mahomes had a battle, and they carried me. But senior year, I think of that game, even though it was one of my worst memories, but that's where I had to look at myself in the mirror and really, really change, and not only on the field, but also off, and how I carried myself. I thought I was somebody that I wasn't, and it affected my play, and if I never fixed it, I would never be able to say I made the NFL. So,
yeah.
That game is not very fond either. I remember Coach Stoops. I was doing boards at that time, so signals, and Mike was screaming so much that I had the biggest headache at halftime, and I took like 8 ibuprofens.
I'm surprised he didn't blow a casket.
I thought he was going to jump out of the box.
Man, I thought he was going to. Yeah, no,
he was all the way up there.
He was. That game was bad, bro.
It's like a caged animal up there.
That game was bad. I literally told the reporter of the game, I said, we all need to look at ourselves in the mirror, and I was really talking about myself. And then there's another interview, I think, right before Oklahoma State, and they asked me about it, and that's when the whole situation, they found out about me and my dad. He made me go watch the film with him that night, and it was hard watching it with him because, it's your dad. You don't want to disappoint him, and he straight up called me for what I was playing soft, and you ain't who you are, and it was a reality check, so much needed, though.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, our dads, we don't necessarily want to hear it from them, but a lot of times that's like the best person to hear it from, you know what I mean?
You need
because
to.
It really
we don't want to hear it, but you need to
hear it. It really puts you in the right headspace to really, check yourself because they see it too.
It comes with a different frequency too.
Right.
Yeah.
You hear deeper, you understand it more. And so.
Yeah, it's coming from a place of caring. And so are the coaches, of course.
Right, right.
We played for some great coaches, and we've had some amazing ones here. But, you talked about how that kind of trend, like that helped you become the NFL player that you were.
Right.
And kind of talk about that. What was that experience like? Because you didn't get invited to the combine initially,
Right.
but then you killed it at pro day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that was also, I think, if you just look at my entire career, high school, college, and NFL, it literally is a roller coaster. I always felt like I was overlooked. That's why I always said I was a diamond in the rough that ain't been found. But it also was what I needed to drive me. Not getting the combine invite, I still remember the people who were most likely to go pro and most likely and most athletic in my 8th grade yearbook. Okay, in high school, I still remember the people that played over me, or I still remember the coaches that said this. I remember the 5 guys that were ranked higher than me in the state of Oklahoma my senior year. I remember all that stuff. Okay, like to this day, that's the stuff that drives me. So I needed that stuff. So when I called the combine people to see if I got my invite, I was literally with my best friend DJ Hicks. And he had a linebacker that was going from Lindenwood. And Connor Harris is actually a friend of mine now. But I'm thinking like, oh, D2 kid is going to invite. Oh, I'm all Big 12 linebacker. I did this, that, and third. Called them. Oh, yeah, you didn't get an invite. But 60% of the guys that – and I just hung up. I was hot. Yeah. Then I got no bowl game invites. So my entire time training and at Ignition in Cincinnati – I was like, you know what? I'm going to thug it out. I'm going to go hard because I have one shot at this pro day. Mm-hmm. And, so that stuff. And then I went and had a good pro day, had some workouts, and thank God I ended up getting drafted 6th round to the Bengals and got 5 years out of there.
Kind of a coincidence. You trained up there and ended up in Cincinnati.
You won't even know more crazy coincidence is not only did I train there, my dad's originally from Cincinnati.
Didn't know that.
And my grandfather played football and basketball, or played football at Xavier before Xavier no longer had a football program. And my apartment was in the area right next to Xavier. So, and I got a lot of family in Ohio. Literally, one of my games I was playing at Cleveland, and I'm walking out of the locker room like after the game, and someone's yelling like, "Hey, where your aunt and uncle?" I'm like, "Oh," and I went and met them. So it was cool. But yeah, it was a full circle going back there.
Talk about meant to be. I got a lot of family in Ohio too. This Cincinnati game this year was a lot of fun. The Stoops showed out in large numbers.
Oh, that's right. Y'all roots are out there in the Ohio area.
That was my first time. Right? Youngstown. That was my first time in Cincinnati. I had a blast. It was fun.
Cincinnati was cool, man. Yeah. It took me a while to, like I said, once you kind of go past things, you look back and you truly find appreciation for it, which my next steps in life is to appreciate where my feet are at and I have to look back and appreciate it. But Cincinnati is always going to be dear to me, and I still got a lot of friends that are in that area. So,
yeah, career NFL statistics. Do you know them off the top of your head? I have them right here.
I know I have 2 interceptions. I personally think I have 4.5 sacks, but I think they
3.5.
3.5. Yeah, they took one from me versus Tampa Bay.
Sure.
I don't know how many tackles. I don't think I had. I don't know. Actually, that's all I know. I just know about the picks.
127 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 2 picks, and 7 PBUs.
PBUs just surprises me. He really did play corner, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, bro. Hey, if y'all ever get a chance to have my boy Mark Andrews on here, we played against Mark 2018 or 19. It was 2019 season, and I had a PBU versus him. And on the video, you'll see me run up to him, and I talked some smack to him. I said, I do this. And then he had like a one-handed catch on somebody else. He looked at me, he's like, I do this. So, but I used to tell people, I said, I wear 5'0" for a reason. I'm the law. I put the handcuffs on people, man. That's my little trash talk. But hey man, that's some decent stats. I'm proud of them. At least I got some picks and some sacks. So when little kids try to talk trash to me and say things, I'm like, I had a pick in the league. And they're like, whoa, you had an interception. I'm like, yeah, it was only 2, but I had some.
You had a couple.
Yeah.
You say picks and then just let them.
Exactly. That. Just picks. They don't have to ask how many. They just know I had plural.
It's 2+.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. But Cincinnati spent 4 years there. Talk a little bit about that. 5.
Yeah.
5 years there. Once again, Wikipedia failed me. So
it's probably because my last year it wasn't much because I blew my knee out. But yeah, no, I spent 5 years there. Was under Marvin Lewis my first 3 years, I think. And I had a great time. Got a lot of starts, a lot of plays, learned from a lot. My vets were Vinny Ray and Vontez Burfict, and learned a lot. 2 different types of people and players, but instilled so much into me as a player, and they took their time. And then Zach, shout out to Norman.
Mm-hmm.
Zach came out there and did his thing and turned the program around with the players and got my last year to play in a Super Bowl team. Unfortunately, I blew my knee out that year and didn't get to actually play, but I was playing a significant role early on, and they still brought me along. And I had a great time. So, a lot of growth and development, but I do believe I stayed true to myself and who I was as a man first and as a Christian man first. Let me say that right. And I'm really happy, and like I said, developed some brothers from Cincinnati while I was there. So.
You mentioned that transition from Marvin and then Zach Taylor. A lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people realize, he's a Norman kid, grew up in Norman, played QB at Nebraska. But what were kind of the biggest things that he brought to the franchise that really turned it around?
Well, he definitely changed the offense. He's an offensive-minded guy. So that was the biggest thing. It was a completely different offense. I mean, it was really very similar to the Rams, and the Rams have had a lot of success. And then he was very adamant on getting his guys in there. I mean, which is normal throughout the league. Anytime you see a culture change, a coaching change, there's a culture change because a lot of times the players are gone. We used to make jokes whenever we were there under Taylor's reign that the Marvin guys are no longer there. But there was only like a few of us, like Tyler Boyd, myself, Joe Mixon, Josh Tupou, and that's a testament to us that we were able to make the team on a whole new staff. But that's the thing. You see a whole different change of players and the culture change. Now they have more of a winning culture. The city is alive again. They went to the Super Bowl, went to an back-to-back AFC championship runs. They drafted Joe Burrow, who's a phenomenal talent. Got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, who are both number one receivers. So, they turned it around, got some great plays, and, Lord willing, they continue to have a lot of success.
That AFC championship game when you made the Super Bowl crushed my heart. I was there. I'm a big Chiefs guy.
Oh, yeah.
So I was there. I mean, of course, I was cheering for you and Joe. But
they have a lot of OU guys there, so I can't be mad at them.
Creed's my guy.
Yeah.
But I was there. I was crushed. I was just sitting in the stands after he kicked the overtime field goal.
That was a surreal game because at first, I ain't going to lie, I was nervous. And I'm not playing, but I'm like, bro, they came out on fire. I'm pretty sure we beat them early on in the season. It's hard to beat a team twice, and we're going to Arrowhead Stadium.
Correct.
And I'm sitting there like, man. And then one thing that our defense coordinator, Lou Anarumo, he's really good at halftime adjustments. And we came out, we shut them down the second half, and Money Mac McPherson, the kicker, made that field goal. And, Jesse Bates forced the pick to Von Bell. And it was like one of those movies. Like, I felt like I was in a movie. And, I have a video of me celebrating. I'm torn ACL, probably 2 months post-surgery. I'm jumping and running. I'm not supposed to be doing none of that. And I was happy, man. I was happy. I was happy for my teammates, because making to Super Bowl, first off, making to the NFL was 0.1%, and then making it to the Super Bowl, a childhood dream is even smaller than that. So, those were real emotions.
What you spent 2 years in the UFL, and so kind of talk to us about that. You go from playing in a Super Bowl to going to the UFL. My dad's coaching in it right now, but it's no news to anybody that it's not this at the same level as the NFL. I'm not saying talent wise, but just on as that big stage. You know what I mean? So how was that for you? I know you're now retired. We'll talk about that in a second. But
if I'm being completely transparent, honest, I was a little pissed at first that I had to go there, because I felt like I was NFL talent. And I had just worked out for 10 teams prior to that. And I had to really humble myself mentally to be like, why are you thinking you're above anybody else? And so originally it was kind of tough. And then when I got there, there's talent there. And I think the spring leagues are very, very good for players to go and play in, to develop, and to get another opportunity to go back into the NFL. And so, initially it was great. You can still see why it is a spring league. You see why some of the players are there, the lack of professionalism by the players and stuff like that. And that's just them trying to develop. And so I took a role on as a player and as a coach while I was there. My linebacker coach, Coach Fly, was a good dude. I liked him a lot, and I appreciate that he respected me enough to take a role as a player and as a coach. And so it was a lot of fun, man. Playing again, I definitely enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I dang near popped my hamstring off the bone, so it sidelined me for the rest of the year. But the 4 games that I played, man, I love football again. And it was a lot of fun. And then went to the DC team and popped my hamstring again. And so they ended up releasing me. And kind of made me make a decision. So
then this week you announced your retirement.
yes, sir.
And so what was the moment that you felt like this is time to hang up the cleats?
Yeah.
And then what's next for you going forward?
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't a spur of the moment decision. I've been thinking about it for honestly over a year now. Ever since I blew my knee out, I knew that once I blew my knee out, in that moment, I think the reason why I had so much emotions and I was kind of such in a dark spot was because I looked kind of, not saying I'm seeing the future, I'm just kind of looking like where my future would be. And you're on a prove-it deal, you tear your ACL early in the deal, you might not get signed again. And that's what happened with me. And so I was a little worried about my future. And so it's been a long process, and I knew this was my last go-around, and I just wanted to play healthy. That was my goal, was just I want to play the season healthy. Now we're about the NFL, and just go play and have a good time. Pulled my hamstring, missed the last 2 weeks of camp. They released me. And then actually in my rehab again, I tweaked it again. And I looked at my boy, Bo Proctor, good friend of mine. I just said, like, yeah, I think that's my sign. And so, kind of prayed over it, thought about it, and made a decision. And I was at peace with it. And when I made the decision, the amount of love and support that a lot of people texted me or commented or said under my post, it made me emotional. I'll say this, I don't care, but I read Joe Mixon's comment on my thing. I cried. I actually had I usually don't cry, I get tear. I actually had a tear drop down. You feel me? So I'm like,
full one.
Yeah, you feel me? I had about 2-3 of them drop, but I was emotional and I'm happy and stuff. So I'm excited for what's next. I do plan on getting into coaching. I love instilling and developing and helping people on and off the field. And I think one of the avenues that I had prior was playing, and maybe it'll be coaching. And so I want to try that out and just see where it goes with that. And, figure it out. It's day by day over here right now.
You're a very self-aware individual, charismatic, and I think those are a lot of qualities that
Appreciate that.
It's just something I've noticed, and I think a lot of people notice. So
I think you'll like it a lot. I really enjoyed coaching during my little stint. Especially at the high school level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember talking to you about it.
Being able to really pour into those kids and give them all the knowledge that you have. Even me, I didn't have the career that you had, obviously, but I grew up around all you guys, and you guys taught me all sorts of football stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I remember talking to you vividly about that, and a lot of the conversation I had with people when I talked to you or when I was talking to KC or any of y'all, I'm a sponge. I believe in being a sponge. I intake a lot of knowledge. I look at other people's experiences, and if you went and touched a hot iron and you say it's hot, I don't gotta go touch it. You know what I'm saying? To know, but I'm observant, and I remember hearing you talking about it and hearing your excitement with those players and how those kids were, and I was like, you know what, I might want to do that one day. And over the years, you had mentioned earlier about coaches. I've ran into coaches that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and they've given me some form of inspiration to coach. And then there's been some coaches where I was not a fan of, and I'm like, if I coach, I don't want to be like that.
Don't want to be like that, yeah.
And so when I look at it, Coach Kish, I loved his family-oriented type self. Like every Sunday, he would have you come in there. I would come in after worship, and he would talk about the game, give you a grade, but he would spend an hour talking about life. And he would know about some of the things that I was dealing with, and I never talked to him about it, but he was just so in tune with his players that he would know that something was off. And Bob had a very family kind of guy. Like I know that he would want the families around, and he would have you guys around, and I appreciated that. When I got to the league, Jim Hazard was a player's coach. He used to play, and I respected him. I had Al Golden, who was like a genius of the game. I respected that. Then I had Darren Simmons, who was one of the most dedicated, passionate, and truthful coaches I've ever had. But at the same time, he had an emotional tie that I know when I blew my knee out and he talked to the players. I wasn't there, but the players told me that he was crying over me. And so all the stuff that I've experienced, it's kind of made me want to take a step in that because I appreciated it. And I would like to use that to, spread it to the next generation of athletes. So.
Yeah, kind of taking a tool out of each of their toolbox, because every coach is different on how they do things, you know what I mean?
Right. And find a way to make in a linebacker room, you should have a collective individuality. And that's what coaches have. Not all coaches are the same, but they all have the same collective goal, and that's to win. So hopefully I can do the same.
It's a pretty good seminar on why you should coach.
Hey, man.
We'll clip that.
I might be a good little talker. I don't know.
Motivational speaker on the side too. Well, that's
Hey,
part of
a
the whole
little bit.
coaching thing too. Jordan, we appreciate you coming on today. Any closing comments?
Nah, man. I appreciate you guys. Keep doing what y'all doing. You never know who's looking up to you, and you're doing a segue for somebody else. So I appreciate you guys having me on, give me an opportunity to talk about myself.
For sure.
Well, that's it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate all the support, and it helps us and helps you because we want to keep telling more stories and great stories like this. So that's it for the family business, and remember to keep it in the family.